I'll give you another example about this. Revelation chapter 8. Let's go into the Revelation now. I want you to see how you can't just take one thing and build a whole theology on it without understanding something of the background. Okay? So I'm looking at Revelation chapter 8. We're going to look at verse 12. This is page 211 in my Bible. Okay? Now, chapter 8 has in it the 7 trumpet judgments. Okay? As we go through, when we hit the outline, I think we're going to actually hit the outline tonight. I'm feeling good about it. You will find that there are a series of judgments that are throughout the book from chapter 6 through 18. Okay? And they come in threes. They come in sevens. There's 3 groups of 7. There are the seal judgments, the trumpet judgments, and the bowl judgments. They all have the same pattern. The first 6 come down, then there's a parenthetical pause, and then you have the 7th judgment. The 7th judgment announces the next set of judgments. Okay? And they get progressively more intense as you go through. So the seal judgments are less intense than the bowl judgments. Okay? That's just a broad picture. But I'm going to point this out because I've heard so much about this. Revelation chapter 8, verse 12. The 4th angel blew his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, and a third of their light was darkened. A third of the day was kept from shining, and likewise a third of the night. Okay? Now, when I was an evangelical, and I'd seen actually movies about this, one way of understanding this is that everything goes dark. Okay. Now, do I think that there is an element of that yet to come? It's very possible. Very possible. I don't want to discount that for the future. But what would its meaning be beyond that? What was it meant for people who read this? What would they think and hear and understand? First of all, you have to understand the sun, the moon, and the stars. Okay? So, in this judgment, the sun, the moon, and the stars are affected. Right? Well, what do the sun, the moon, and the stars signify? What is their purpose? Where did they come from?
God.
They're in the sky. Who put them there?
God.
What was their purpose?
Light.
Give light to the planet.
Light and
Yes.
Count the direction.
what?
Count the days.
Ah! And where did you get that?
In Genesis.
We have to go to Genesis. Go to Genesis chapter 1. To understand what this means, we got to go back to Genesis 1. Get used to this. If we're in Revelation, you're going to be going to Genesis. Genesis 1, verse 14. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to separate the day from night." Okay. So, that's the first reason of their existence, to give light to the day and night. And let them be for signs. Did you hear that? What are the sun, the moon, and the stars there for? Signs. For what? Seasons, and for days, and for years. And let them be lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made the 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And he set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, to rule over day and over night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw it was good, and there was evening and there was morning on the 4th day. you have to understand a little step back. We have to step back a little bit further. And I'm going to make this ever so brief. To understand what this symbol, what these signs are in Revelation, we have to go all the way back here to understand the beginning. We understand that the 6 days of creation could be roughly divided like a house. If we go to Genesis 1:1, it says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." Right? The second verse says, "The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the face of the waters. And God said, 'Let there be light.'" So in the beginning, there was darkness and water. Things were without form and void. Okay? So the days of creation give form and fill. Day 1, we have light and darkness. Because before it's just nebulous. The second day, we have heaven separated from the land, or sky from land. That's it. Okay? On the third day, we have dry land appear. Okay? So we have the separation of the sea from the land. You see what's happening here to this nebulousness? God is giving form to it. There's light and darkness, there's heaven and earth, there's dry land and sea. And then what? Now that we have form, we have to do something to fill it. So what do we fill the light and the darkness with?
Sun and the moon.
The sun and the moon. And these govern or rule the day and the night. On the fifth day, we have what?
Sky creatures and land creatures.
We have birds and fish. And who do they rule over? The sky and the sea. Right? And then on the sixth day, what do we have? Land animals. And mankind. So once God does the forming of the universe, He then fills it. So in the beginning there was darkness and water, formless and void. Formless and empty, void. What does God do in the 6 days of creation? Form it and fill it. And then the house or the roof of the whole building is the seventh day, the Sabbath. What happens on the Sabbath day?
They rest
And
and blessings to God.
that's it. That's it.
Blessings to God.
What do you do when you bless God?
You worship.
Worship Him. That's it. The crown of creation is recognizing the creator of creation. So God orders the seventh day to be set aside as holy and separate from Him. On 6 days do you all work, but on the seventh, see this? One could easily argue that this is the temple of the universe. God builds it from the beginning. And so the Sabbath worship is a means by which we return praise to the Creator of creation. Okay? This is also the day of the marriage of Adam and Eve. It's another reason why it's made holy. It's the marriage of Adam and Eve. Because on the seventh day, God covenanted with whom? Creation. And this is signified how? The marriage of Adam to Eve. So marriage becomes a sign of the relationship of God and creation itself. So if you did not know that marriage and family are of a high importance to God, or if you're uncertain about it, believe me, the devil is very clear and knows. And is doing everything he can to undermine and destroy it, left, right, and center. So if you're not certain that God has a high priority on marriage and family, the devil does. Why? Because it was the first sign of his covenanting with all of creation. Now you're saying to yourself, what on planet Earth does this have anything to do with Revelation chapter 8? You can't understand what the purpose of the sun and the moon are unless you understand its original purpose. God gave them for what reason? 2 reasons. To count the days and as signs for seasons, and to give light. What happens when that is affected? There's darkness, there's a change, some new season has occurred, right? Now, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.